gracious.
Yeah. Yeah, we got down there a lot more when the kids were little and so on, but
Yeah.
not as much lately. But yeah, it was a nice few days down there. Hey Dan, hey Joe, hey Carrie, hey Rob, and I assume Tony.
Good evening.
Hello.
Okay, we're all set up.
Okay, got another minute until 6, so late.
Use it up.
All right, I guess now it's 6. So it's 6 o'clock, August 20th, 2024. And the Nahant Board of Selectmen are now in session. Okay, we have only one agenda item tonight, which is an open meeting law violation complaint that was filed against me, I guess. Tony, I wanted to share the complaint and the emails that led to the complaint and a little additional background. Am I allowed to share my screen?
Yes, you should be able to.
Okay. Let's see here. Sorry. I'm used to Teams, less used. Oh, there we go. Share my screen. Okay. All right. So is everyone seeing that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So this is copied and pasted from the agenda item. So discussion possible vote regarding response to claim of open meeting law violation submitted by John Shannon Bianchi received on August 5th, 2024. We have the reason this meeting is scheduled for this date is because we have 15 business days to review this in a public setting, and it didn't fit with our schedule for a regular meeting August 28th. So we had to schedule a special meeting for this. So I've got a few slides here, and basically it's about summarizing the complaint and what actions are required by us, the Board of Selectmen. I want to present the emails that triggered the complaint, and we can talk about whether an open meeting law violation actually occurred, and then finally a discussion on how we as a board want to address this specific open meeting law complaint. So with that, here is the cover letter of the complaint form. It was filed on August 1st, which I think was over the weekend, and so I was made aware of it the following Monday. We don't have to read all these words, but in essence, the complainant is saying that there was an email exchange that violated open meeting law based on the claim that it constituted deliberation between members of the Board of Selectmen. I'm gonna show you the emails. Full disclosure, I want everyone that is interested to be able to see the emails. And so that's the claim in a nutshell. And here is the required action. So this was sent to me by the town clerk. She highlighted the instructions in yellow there. So basically it boils down to disseminate the complaint. So Rob and Jean, if you haven't received the complaint, I will forward that to you before this meeting's over. Have you received the complaint?
I have.
Yes.
Jean has and Rob
Right.
has, is that what I heard?
That's correct.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna call that complete. and review the complaint. That's what we're doing now, in this public setting, and then respond to the complaint in writing. And, I'm hoping we can do that tonight as well. But these 3 bullets are what's essentially constituted here. And included in the open meeting law complaint, I guess, as you have already seen, other selectmen, there's a section of the complaint form that says, what do you want the public body to do in response to your complaint? The complainant is requesting the selectmen reread the open meeting law guide and educational materials. Also refrain from future deliberations with email communication, and instead consider dedicating a portion of the meetings for public review of recent correspondence received. And lastly, I ask that the selectmen acknowledge this complaint and respond in writing and in open meeting setting, which I think is a legal requirement anyway. So those are the requested actions. So in the spirit of full transparency, I wanted to share the emails that led to this complaint. So initially, there was an email sent by Michelle Campana, who is a member of the planning board. The email, you can read along probably faster than I can read it out loud, but in summary, the email informs the planning board, the board of selectmen, the town administrator, and town council about a recently passed state law about accessory dwelling units. So that was the first email. Basically, the state passed this law. Here's a link to the law. That was the first email. The second email was sent by Gene Canty, Board of Selectmen member, in response to that first email. To all replied all to the same people. It says, "Hi, can ADUs be used to meet affordable housing requirements?" And in response to that, it's like about 34 minutes later, I replied, and this is the email that triggered the open meeting law violation complaint. Only if the entire property is deeded affordable. In other words, if you build an ADU, accessory dwelling unit, in your yard, both your house and the ADU would have to be deeded affordable. At least that is my understanding. So that's the email that triggered the complaint. And then there was a fourth email, which I sent within a minute of sending the last one, because I am very concerned about open meeting law. And it said, note that there is no deliberation or opinion expressed in my email. So that's the email exchange that triggered this open meeting law complaint. So now, did an even open meeting law violation occur? So I looked up the guidance from the Massachusetts Open Meeting Law Guide and Education Material, the same reference that the complainant was requesting we reread. And this is how they tell you how to decide. Is the communication between or among members of a public body? Yes, the Board of Selectmen and the Planning Board are public bodies. If so, does the communication constitute deliberation? In my opinion, no. No, I did not express any opinion. I simply stated the facts as they are. So therefore my opinion is that there is no deliberation, and I've spent hours looking up the definition of deliberation and what it means in legal terms. That's my opinion. I'm not saying that's a legal opinion. I'm saying that's my opinion. Does the communication involve a matter within the body's jurisdiction? And my opinion again here is that no. What constitutes affordable housing, which is what the question Gene asked, is defined by the state. And so since the answer is no, the final question is not applicable. So in my opinion, my honest opinion, after a lot of time, way too much time reflecting on this, I don't think so. But, you know, maybe there's a gray area. Obviously the complainant had a different opinion, so I'm not gonna, necessarily dig my heels in on this. That's my view, but, I'm happy to, hear anyone else's view, and then, maybe we can include anyone else's view on how we want to address this open meeting law complaint. So, in my, I guess, talking to the clerk and, town council and so on, there's a couple choices. We can respond by asking for a decision from the Attorney General's office, and then base our response on that, that decision from the AG's office. Or we can simply say, you know what, it's a gray area. Let's just assume an open meeting law violation occurred and respond accordingly. So, at this point, I'd like to hear from, you, Selectman Canty and Thibault, on, any thoughts you have.
Well, without having to parrot everything that you've said, which clearly identifies what the problem was or suspected to be. The error I made was in replying all on the email. What I was doing had nothing to do with deliberation or any future use, other than to ask the question of somebody who I thought would know how the ADUs and affordable housing would interact.
Yeah,
That was it.
yeah.
So Josh, I'm looking at this in shades of gray, I guess.
Yeah,
My initial reaction has been I would welcome the AG's opinion in this situation. I'm not. I strongly believe that as you do, that we're not in violation here. However, I'm not sure that there's an effective use of our time as far as the avenue that we have to take in order to cure this. I think that is the quickest way to put it behind us so that we can focus on things that are more important, yes, with respect to business for the town.
all right. Well, thank you both for that input. And it aligns very well with the things that I've been thinking about since this came along, and longer, in fact. And I just want to say that, I have only one agenda and only one approach to fulfilling my duties as a selectman, and that is to do what's best for the town of Nahant. That's my agenda on every single issue, and always has been for the past 5.5 years. And I'm glad, Rob, that you mentioned efficiency of time and focusing on productive things. I have other responsibilities and interests in life, and the time I put into being a selectman is limited. So it's important to me that any time I spend volunteering my time as a selectman is spent towards working towards that single goal of doing what's best for Nahant. I don't want to waste my time on interpersonal strife or bickering or ego trips or gossip or power struggles or any of that stuff. I just want to spend my time being productive and making Nahant the best place it can be. So I am with you that whatever the best way to put this, be the most expedient way to get back to spending our time on productive efforts, that is in line with what I'm thinking. So I guess I was sharing my notes there on the screen, but it's it's been this has been a frustrating thing, and I think, not a productive use of my time. So with that,
Josh, can I just add a general comment?
yep,
Just for those paying attention, I'd say a decent percentage of my time is communicating with each one of you on an individual basis to make sure
Yeah.
that we're adhering to the open meeting law. It's something that, we take very seriously, you guys take very seriously, and something that we're constantly keeping it in our mind as we, work through our day-to-day tasks. We have, individual meetings on a weekly basis. We, um, try to do, I think there's a lot of emphasis instilled in me through you on adhering to the open meeting law. So in general, for the public, the reply all thing, like it happens sometimes, it's not intentional, it's not um, by any means common. It's very rare and it's accidental. And if anything, I would say you guys, you three and former members of the Board of Selectmen put a heavy emphasis on compliance with the open meeting law in our day-to-day business.
yep, that's true, Tony. I mean, it's, I apologize for my mistake, and that resulted in us having to spend this night talking about this, and the time that the town clerk and you and the town council and everyone else has had to spend on this. I don't think it's productive use of our time. So for my contribution to that, sorry about that. I guess here's what I'm thinking we could do. I think it aligns with what you just said, Rob, about let's assume it's in the gray, and agree that there could have been an open meeting violation, and therefore take the actions that requested by Mr. Bianchi, specifically and exactly as he requested. All three board members review the open meeting law guide and educational materials, refrain from future deliberations via email, and acknowledge the open meeting law complaint, and respond in writing in open meeting session, which is what we're doing now. And number 3 is, I think, required by law. I'll just add that on number 2, Mr. Bianchi also requested that the BOS consider dedicating a portion of their meetings for public review of recent correspondence received. I'm not in favor of that specifically. I mean, in concept, yes. In concept, I think we do that informally when we say things like, I've been hearing from residents concerned about XYZ. I don't think we necessarily want to have a standing agenda item of reading emails from people. First of all, I'm not sure people would want their email read publicly. So I guess I agree in spirit with Mr. Bianchi's. I guess I'm agreeing entirely. I think we can consider that. I'm not in favor of that personally. That's my only, I think, very minor exception to the requests of the open meeting law violation.
Josh, I think council has recommended that in this particular issue that it remains within the parameters of the authority of the chair, that correspondence sent to this committee can always be read when the chair deems it worthy. It has to be relevant to what we're doing, and So I think there's not much change there. We've always done that.
Yeah, and I think that, yeah, and certainly this could be, say, that, we, as Tony said, we try to we try to do the right thing here and, avoid that. I guess I screwed up in this case. Not intentionally. It's just trying to convey information and be helpful. It was seen as something else. And there we have it.
Honestly, Josh, this kind of falls to what Gene has talked about in the past with respect to going to a 5-member board. If we had a 5-member board, this wouldn't be an open meeting law violation. But with a 3-member board, it is.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Well,
And
Yeah.
if
we can
three
talk-
members, if all three of you were on the email, so technically
Yeah.
it still would have qualified as
Yeah.
quorum, but
Yeah. And I guess I don't know if I want to delve into the philosophy, but I don't really like the idea of having a 5-member board so that two members can deliberate without being an open meeting. It may in spirit, I mean in letter, not be an open meeting violation, but in spirit it sort of is. I don't think
Josh, I'm not implying that a 5-member board is what we need. I'm just pointing out the irony of how we have a very, very narrow margin here as on a 3-member board.
No, but it does define it a little bit better when you look at it from this perspective. There's no doubt.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I think.
So we need a vote.
Yeah, we need a vote.
And it can
I
be,
guess,
it can be a motion consistent with your comments to delegate the authority to respond in writing to Mr. Bianchi's complaint written by either
Yeah.
town council or the town administrator.
yeah. So I will I'll make the motion then. I move that all 3 Board of Selectmen members review the open meeting law guide and educational materials, refrain from future deliberation via email, and acknowledge the open meeting law complaint and respond to it in writing and an open meeting session. Do I have a second?
Second,
Any further discussion?
Is there a, I heard you mention delegating the responsibility of the response to possibly town council. Is that automatically in this?
I can work, I'll work with town council to make sure my response is adequate. Does that sound good, Dan?
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. That's
Yeah,
fine.
that's fine. All right.
Don't forget 2B. We got to consider that. We got to address that too.
2B being the consider.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, okay, so I'll flash that back on the screen again. And this one. Yeah, so. Tell you what, I'll read it over. I'll read 2 over again. Refrain from future deliberation via email and consider dedicating a portion of their meetings, our meetings, for public review of recent correspondence received. Do we have that edit? A second on that edit?
second on the edit.
Is that adequate, Dan?
Yep. With the emphasis on consider dedicating, not dedicating, but consider dedicating. And
Yeah,
we've actually
consider
considered it tonight. Yeah, we've already
Which I
considered it.
think
tonight.
which I think we just did.
I agree.
Is that fair? That we considered that?
Yep.
I don't want to take any shortcuts here. So I guess before we vote, I think, you know, whether or not we had an open meeting law violation, let's just say we did, okay? I just want to say, I don't think anybody, no person or the town of Nahant was either aggrieved or benefited from my email. You know, I respect and honor the open meeting law rules. I try to abide them. I'll be more cautious in the future. I don't think there was any effect really on anything from the emails that I sent, other than, so, you know, Gene now knows that ADUs don't count towards affordable housing. I also, frankly, don't think this open meeting law claim had any benefit to the town of Nahant or anybody on this meeting, but I guess, you know, a good reminder. Yeah, I guess I'll leave it at that. I guess I'll leave it at that. I don't, yeah. I'll leave it at
Possibly a reminder of how simply things can go astray.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Josh, you're being way too apologetic. You know, nobody has put more into this position than you have. And your transparency has found its way to myself anyhow. And Robbie, I'm sure as time goes on, you'll experience the same. But Josh, you got two guys here that are behind you, certainly. And I appreciate you stepping out there in front. But if I hadn't even sent the email, we wouldn't be in this situation to begin with.
Yeah, I think, you know, innocent mistake. As I said, I don't think any harm was done to the town of Nahant or anybody in the town of Nahant or anybody anywhere. I don't think, quite frankly, that this open meeting law violation claim benefited the town of Nahant. I won't speculate on why it was submitted. I'll just say, let's get back to spending our time on things that do benefit the town of Nahant and focus on that.
So do we have a motion on the floor?
Yes,
Yes.
we need a second and a vote.
We did second it.
Second.
Yep, I heard
We
a second.
seconded the edit. We seconded the edit.
Yep.
We just need a vote.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, roll call vote.
Gene Canty, aye.
Rob Tibble, aye.
Josh Antrim, aye. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
Seconded.
Any discussion on that? Hearing and seeing none, roll call vote.
Gene Canty, aye.
Rob Tibble, aye.
Josh Antrim, aye. Good night.
Good night,
Good
Jim.
night.
Thank you.
Next tomorrow.
Good night.
Bye.